my missions is to clear up misconceptions. And there's a popular misconception that Ayn Rand never wrote or said anything about childhood and children, so I thought that I would make that a focus tonight. And I'm going to read you a little bit from the end of the chapter on the Spirit of Francisco in Essays on Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, edited by Robert Mayhew. And in this excerpt, I'll be talking about a passage Ayn Rand wrote about the childhood of Dagny Taggart and Francisco d'Anconia. This is a long flashback, and the passage, I'll start by reading what Ayn Rand wrote, which is from a summer night when Dagny was 13 and Francisco was 15, and then I'll talk about it. Okay, first, these are Ayn Rand's words. It was on the evening before his departure that they sat alone together in a hidden corner by the edge of the water. A rocky hill rose in a bend of the river ahead. There were long, thin strips of fire in the sky beyond the black rock, and red sparks floating lazily on the water. Francisco pointed ahead and asked, "Dagny, if you walked around the turn of that rock, what would you expect to find there?" She answered, "Something exciting and wonderful." He chuckled, nodded, and said, "So do I. So does everybody else. That is what people always expect to find around every corner they turn. And they're so often disappointed. But you and I won't be. We know something they've never discovered. When we turn a corner, there will always be something exciting and wonderful there. We will be there," unquote. So, what is Francisco saying here? In miniature, it's the essence of the fountainhead. It's the self-sufficient ego, invulnerable, uncrushable. It's the reverence of the noble soul for itself. We will be there. We will be what we are, what we've made of ourselves. And that's true for Ayn Rand's heroes. It's true for the evil characters in Ayn Rand's fiction, too. Their hell is what they've done to themselves, what they have made of themselves. For example, quote, "The burning pressure on his temples and the faint, dizzying nausea of unreality came from the fact that he could not recapture the sense of being Dr. Robert Stadler," unquote. It's a villain. In view of the evil he has sanctioned and committed, Dr. Stadler, the brilliant physicist, is no longer there. He is instead a self-confessed sellout. Around every corner, he will seek in vain the potential he abandoned. Instead of something exciting and wonderful there, instead of his former mottos, the fearless mind and the inviolate truth, he will find something awful and shameful there, the spectacle of the mind he betrayed. Similarly, James Taggart, also from Atlas Shrugged, who shaped his evil self long ago and who's been running from the awareness of it ever since, is destroyed by the vision, so to speak, of himself. Quote, this is about Taggart, "The sight he was confronting was within him," unquote. "For this man, beyond every corner, at the end of every blind alley, there is and always will be something horrible there. He will be there." By contrast, the fulfillment of his own promise is Hank Rearden's triumph. He's a positive character in Atlas Shrugged. On the night of Dagny's broadcast, when Rearden asks Dagny, and, well, he asks her a question and he tells her before he hears what she has to say, everything that he's learned and accepted, including her use of the past tense and talking about their relationship, she sees in him, finally, his true self. Quote, "Looking up at his face, she realized that for the first time, he was what she had always thought him intended to be, a man with an immense capacity for the enjoyment of existence. The taut look of endurance, of fiercely unadmitted pain, was gone. Now, in the midst of the wreckage and of his hardest hour, his face had the serenity of pure strength. It had the look she'd seen in the faces of the men in the valley. So he finally is what she thought him intended to be. Hank Rearden is there at last." So, for all of Ayn Rand's heroes, from Kira of We the Living, with her enduring smile and her tribute to the possibilities of life, to Prometheus, an anthem in the act of discovering the self and his own true self, to Howard Rourke of the Fountainhead and the great-souled heroes of Atlas Shrugged, spiritual splendor is the reward that at every moment and forever will be there. Whatever the turns of the plot, whatever is behind the next corner, whatever the setbacks and difficulties, the heroes, in the plenitude of their grandeur, will be there. So within the novel, the self-confidence expressed by Francisco is indeed thoroughly justified. It's dramatized throughout the colorful characterization that was developed, Ayn Rand said, by inspiration, as if she always had before her sight and within her mind the spirit of Francisco, the epitome of relentless ambition, ruthless justice, and radiant joy. Whatever the turns of the plot, whatever else she labored to accomplish in the novel, there was always something exciting and wonderful there, because Francisco d'Anconia was there, and thanks to Ayn Rand, he always will be. And that's the end of the excerpt, but what I wanted to add was that the point, which I hope was clear even from the excerpt, is that they were themselves from a very early point in their lives, that the core is what they were true to, and this, I believe, is the case for Ayn Rand as well. To paraphrase Wordsworth, who said the child is the father of the man, I think that for Ayn Rand, the child was definitely the mother of the woman, and this is something I'd like to talk more about later. Thank you.
Thank you, Shoshana.